Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Real estate lawyer too.
What's your name?
Jeff.
Jeff? Sorry, I got my hand there.
Okay. I live in the neighborhood.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, bought in '94.
Oh, wow. So you've been able to see the appreciation. That's what I was just talking about.
Well, in like a townhouse for 200,000.
Oh, yeah. Now it's probably worth 10 times as much.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that smart because for instead of 200 for 250, I could have bought in any of the buildings directly on the water, and the 250 is probably worth 4 to 5.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Hindsight is 20/20, but it's a crazy market. Yes,
Well, at least you're still in one of the best neighborhoods in Miami Beach.
I think it is the best market.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you had a success story with that. That's pretty
Well,
cool.
You know, the thing about real estate in Miami is if you can buy and hold for a long enough period of time, you will do well. And
Right.
I'm talking about 20 years or more. So you can ride out those incredible ups and downs
Yes.
that Miami has.
Unfortunately, too many people don't do that. You see so many properties hit the market after just being sold 2 or 3 years ago. Almost every listing I encounter that's the case.
The key to that is having almost no debt.
Yep.
And so, you know, during 2008, when things were absolutely brutal for me, because I was a real estate investor, and I did lose many properties in Little Havana, I was able to keep my homestead property because I had virtually no debt on it. But it was brutal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people are losing their shirts once again if they're over leveraged.
Totally. Because this is a different economy than 2008. 2008 was an utter collapse.
Yes.
You know, so I was a foreclosure defense attorney, and I would say I defended probably close to 1,000 foreclosures just in the Miami area, not Miami Beach per se, but the Miami area from 2008 to 2017, 2018. There'll be some foreclosures, nothing like what was 2008. In 2008, the height of it was 2010. There was an average of 200,000 foreclosures a month in South Florida.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely much different then.
I mean, so now there's a few hundred. So, and it may creep up, but it will be nothing like what it was before. Now, the problem is also not just the cost of what your apartment or house is, it's the cost of living.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Right,
We are
so
in a
the-
cost of living crisis.
Yeah, so the cost of living in 2008, if you
Was
had
cheap.
some money,
Yeah,
you were good.
exactly.
Right. You know, so now it's even if you can afford your apartment or house or whatever it is, it's just all of the costs associated with it. The
Yes.
insurance has skyrocketed, and there's no going back. Insurance is never coming down.
You know what's funny, Jeff, is before I just ran into you, I was just talking about how young people today, there is a calculation that just came out that shows you over a 30-year time frame, if you make $150,000 a year and you decide to just invest over those 30 years and just rent along the way versus becoming a homeowner today, the renter and investor gets ahead by almost double in terms of net worth over a 30-year period.
Okay, so I've heard those statistics, and I have researched that, and it's a little misleading. And
Why do you think so?
I'll tell you why it's misleading. Because the psychology of people is that very few people have the discipline
Yeah, I was just talking about that.
to be able to say, okay,
You need to put that difference aside.
I have an extra $2,000 a month.
Yes.
And I'm going to put that directly into the stock market. I'm never going to see the money. I'm never going to spend the money. I'm going to keep it in there for the next 30 years.
Absolutely.
I would say that the amount of people who have that type of discipline is less than 1% of the population.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Whereas if you own something,
It
you're
forces
forced
you.
into that discipline.
Yes.
And so for the majority of people, that wealth is something that you will never create in another area. And of course, the key is buying right, not overpaying. If you overpay in the beginning, you're screwed.
Yep.
And having as little debt as you can. You know, people have been
Also, let's not forget, people borrow against the home. They move too soon. They sell after 5 or 7 years, taking the equity out.
all of that
Those
stuff.
are other
It's-
mistakes people make.
If you can have the discipline of saying, okay, I'm going to put $3,000 away every month and put it into the stock market, bully for you.
Yeah.
Most people can't do that. Most people Also, what they do is people spend what they make. It's, creep. It's everything goes up. So people will, it's just, your house is a forced savings. Plus, with the homestead property, you get tax breaks.
Yep.
I don't know if they're calculating that in with the tax break.
Well, one thing that they missed with the calculation is, first of all, they assume people put 20% down, which we know most people don't do.
You must.
The other thing that they missed is they accounted for a 3% increase a year in rent, but never an increase each year in your monthly mortgage payment, which is a huge mistake because that is going to go up.
Totally. But the other thing that most of those statistics don't take into account. So if you put down 20% and you borrow 80%, and your house goes up 2x over 10 years, you didn't just make twice as much money because you only had 20% down.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a false equivalency by saying, if you put all of this money in the stock market, you would have had a higher rate of return. Again, you needed that discipline, but also with your house, you're able to get a 30-year mortgage and borrow somewhat against it. I'm not talking about taking equity out. So there's a lot of, and the other thing is, like I have a family, makes sense for most people because you want your child to go to the same school over the course of those years. You don't want to up and move all the time.
Well, I actually don't have any children, but
Oh, you don't?
I
Okay,
don't.
sorry.
But my main thing that I was saying that I enjoy about it is the stability. Like when I was renting, I was constantly being threatened of having to move every year. I like living in the same place. I don't want to move,
There's pros and cons. I mean, right now, renting makes sense.
Yes.
I mean,
It's a good financial move.
It's a great financial move because for the same price that you could rent a killer apartment south of Fifth, so it would cost $2 million to buy the place, but you could rent it for $7,500.
Yeah,
Why would you buy it?
exactly.
Right. So for sure on that valuation, I completely agree with you. But if you're talking about a $600,000 house versus paying $4,000 a month in rent someplace, buy the $600,000 house.
Yeah. I think the moral of the story really is like there's no right method. It kind of depends on your personality, and you really have to know your spending habits and how you treat money. Am I going to be more, responsible and save that difference, or am I somebody who needs to have my hand held and be forced to save that money?
Totally. It's very dependent on individual. And not just the individual. If you're married, your spouse, you have to be on the same page
Yes.
as your spouse, because that's key. If your spouse is not happy where you are, you're not going to be happy.
Nice to see you,
Thank
Jeff.
so much.
Thanks for
It's a
watching my
pleasure.
videos, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Good
it.
luck on your show. It's
Okay.
very interesting.
Take care, man. Well, shout out to Jeff. And I think it's really cool to run into people who watch my channel. So thanks, Jeff, for watching. But also, it's just a good perspective, right? He's somebody who did this, almost 30 years ago, 1994. So Jeff is a good real world statistic of how owning the same property, he didn't move, right? He didn't sell. He didn't mention if he ever refinanced, but I'm assuming probably not. And if he did, it might have been just to lower his payments. Sounds like he's a responsible guy. And now look, his property he paid $200,000 for is worth 10x what it was 30 years ago. If you can ride out that cycle and hold on, it can be worth it, guys. But you have to have discipline either way. But owning the real estate forces you to have a little more discipline than being a renter. And the data shows us that this is in fact what's happening, okay? Because the pending home sales in January, it just fell again, 0.8% month over month, down to 70.9 on the index. And economists actually expected a 1.8% increase in pending home sales. So this was a big January surprise in the pending home sale index falling yet again. And this shows us that the demand continues to remain weak in the housing market. And I think because a lot of younger people have checked out, they have realized that it's not affordable. Even if I could afford it, I'm going to be incurring all these extra expenses. People are a lot more educated about it now, and they are deciding to go the other way. But like Jeff said, you have to have that discipline. If you don't have the discipline, this isn't going to work out in your favor by becoming a renter and staying a renter for the next 30 years. It can work out massively in your favor, but you have to have the discipline.